She was the most feared being in the universe. The alien queen, mourning the daughter she had lost to the void. Entire galaxies trembled at her sorrow, until a human walked into her chamber, holding their hands. What happened next shattered everything we thought we knew about courage, survival, and the power of a single species. Will one human be able to challenge the impossible and defy the cosmos itself? The chamber smelled of salt and burning crystal. Shadows stretched across the walls, alive with whispers from 1,000 years of grief. The alien queen knelt, her silver eyes dull with mourning, tracing the names of her lost daughters etched in the living stone beneath her fingers. Each name burned like a promise she had failed to keep. No one dared approach. Her species, the Tal'H, were feared across galaxies for their power and their wrath. Yet here she was, stripped of all pride, all fury, consumed only by loss. The doors hissed open. A human stepped through. Not a soldier, not a diplomat, not even a thief, but human, and nothing about them screamed fear. In their hands were two tiny, glowing figures. Her daughters, alive. The queen's head shot up. Her heart, ancient and steady for millennia, skipped in ways she thought impossible. She rose, every movement sharp, regal, dangerous. But the humans did not flinch. Instead, they smiled. They were trapped, the human said. They waited, but we found them. The queen's voice trembled, an alien sound like wind through hollow metal. Humans, you face the dangers of the void, and yet walk unbroken? You dare enter the heart my grief. I do not fear grief, the human replied. I face it. I face the universe. And I do not leave those who cannot defend themselves. The queen's clawed hand hovered over the human, a flicker of the old war-born instinct threatening to strike. But she did not move. Something about this fragile, mortal creature felt different. Not just courage, not just intelligence. Something ancient and stubborn, the unmistakable spark of life that refuses to bow. The chamber trembled suddenly. A dark presence awakened beneath the palace. The stones cracked, and an echo, old as time itself, whispered in a language no one alive remembered. You should not have come, the voice hissed. A shadow stretched across the floor, growing, writhing, twisting into shapes that defied reason. The human stepped forward. They did not hesitate. They are mine, the human said. I will protect them. You will not touch them. The shadow hissed, a sound like fire and ice at the same time. It surged, a living nightmare, and yet the humans stood firm. They raised their hands, not with weapons, not with machines, but with willpower alone, and the shadows recoiled. The queen watched in disbelief. Every creature in her realm, every conqueror she had faced, had fled from the darkness. Every species that called themselves warriors had cowered at this ancient force. Yet a human stood unbroken. The daughters glowed brighter in the human's grasp, as it drawn to their protector's courage. The shadow paused, reconsidering, calculating, and then it laughed, a sound that could fracture stars. You are but one, it said. You cannot hope to fight me. You are fragile, mortal doomed. The human did not falter. Instead, they smiled. A flash of reckless brilliance sparkled in their eyes. You think death makes us fragile. We are the species that turns death into story, that bends chaos into hope, that carves paths where none exist. Watch closely. The shadow surged again, this time with fury. The queen stepped forward, her voice rising with authority she had not known she still possessed. Enough. This human is under my protection. You will leave or face me. The shadow hesitated. For the first time in centuries, it paused before a mortal. The human did not look at the queen. They looked at the shadow, unblinking, unbowed. And then the unthinkable happened. The human lunged forward, moving with impossible speed, weaving between the shadow's tendrils, their every step precise, every move daring and audacious. With each step, the shadow screamed, faltered, and then recoiled. The queen's daughters, once lifeless, began to stir, drawn to the human's energy. Light burst from their tiny forms, illuminating the chamber, casting the shadows into shapes of defeat. The queen could not believe her eyes. This cannot be, she whispered. The human's voice cut through the roar of the collapsing shadows. Do not underestimate humanity. We do not bow. We do not break. And we never stop. A surge of energy, uncontained, erupted from the human, and the shadow howled. It writhed, distorted, and then slowly it began to retreat. But retreat never meant defeat. The shadow's voice lingered, a promise and a threat. This is not over. The universe remembers, and it hungers. You will all see me again. The human turned to the queen, holding her daughters tightly, unflinching. Whatever comes next, they said, we will face it, together, and we will endure. The queen, still trembling, lowered her claws. The human had done the impossible. They had faced the impossible. And yet, the void was endless, and the threats had only just begun. The queen's voice softened, almost reverent. Perhaps there is hope yet. The human looked to the stars beyond the shattered walls, their gaze steady, daring unbroken. The universe had opened its teeth, and humanity was ready. The chamber grew silent. But far above, in the blackness of space, something stirred, ancient, relentless, and impossible. And the human did not blink, because they were human, and humans always fight. The chamber grew quiet, but the echoes of the shadow's threat lingered, vibrating through the walls like the pulse of a dying star. The human tightened their grip on the queen's daughters, their hands warm against the alien coldness of the girl's skin. Even in their tiny forms, the children radiated latent power, a force the human had barely begun to understand. The queen stepped forward, her armor-like exoskeleton glinting in the fractured light. You have faced what no Talarites dare touch. Why? Why do you risk yourself so easily? The human's gaze never wavered from the fissure in the chamber floor, where shadows still writhed like liquid nightmares. Because fear does not guide us. Humanity survives because we do not yield to it. You taught us that grief can shape strength. We answer that with courage. The queen's pupils narrowed, the faintest flicker of curiosity replacing her mourning. Courage? She had seen courage in billions of soldiers, warriors who had shattered planets under their feet. Yet this human was different, not born of power, not bred for war, but moving through the impossible as if it were a path meant for them. Suddenly, the chamber walls shivered. The shadow's retreat was a ruse. It had not fled. It had simply grown silent, calculating, planning. The air thickened with electricity, and the floor beneath the human cracked. From the depths, a scream rose. Not a sound of one being, but chorus of millions, ancient voices united in hatred. The human shifted into a defensive stance, one hand shielding the children, the other raised toward the fissure. We fight. We adapt. We endure. That is how humanity survives in the void. The queen's daughters stirred, their small hands glowing brighter, as though recognizing the human's resolve. A strange warmth filled the chamber, pushing against the encroaching darkness. The shadow writhed in anger. I underestimated you, mortal. It hissed, a voice like molten metal scraping against bone. You are nothing but fragile flesh, and yet you resist the void itself. The human's response was simple. We are everything you underestimate. In an instant, the shadow struck. Tendrils of darkness lashed out, faster than any I could track, seeking to engulf the human and the children. The human did not dodge. Instead, they stepped forward, their hand brushing the nearest tendril. It recoiled, as though shocked by their audacity. The queen's eyes widened. Impossible! Humans do not survive that. But this human was not just surviving. They were rewriting the rules of engagement. Each step they took carved a path through darkness, their presence forcing it to bend around them. You rely on technology? The shadow sneered. The humans shook their head. No, we rely on mind, on will, on the unbreakable thread of hope that threads through every human life. You cannot comprehend it, but it is stronger than your oldest power. From the cracks in the floor, the shadow surged again, a massive tendril that seemed almost alive, pulsating with centuries of hatred. The human leapt forward, their movement precise, calculating, fearless. With a single motion, they extended their hand, touching the tendril, and the shadow screamed, not in pain, but in disbelief. It recoiled. It recoiled from a human. The queen's daughters floated higher, light bursting from them like miniature suns, illuminating the chamber in stark contrast to the encroaching darkness. The human's voice rose, not in fear, but in challenge. Every shadow has a limit. Every impossible force can be faced. And we do not stop. The tendrils shrieked, clawing at the air, yet the human pressed forward. Step by step, they advanced, forcing the darkness back into the fissure from which it came. The queen, still kneeling on the cracked floor, felt something she had not experienced in centuries. Awe. This human, fragile as they appeared, commanded the impossible, not through firepower, not through domination, but through courage, through the sheer, relentless force of will. And then, the unexpected happened. The fissure cracked wider, revealing a chamber beneath, ancient beyond reckoning. Symbols glowed along the walls, pulsating with energy older than the stars themselves. The shadow hissed, its tendrils retracting, but it did not leave. "You do not belong here," it said, voice shaking for the first time. "You are out of your depth." The human smile was almost playful, but it held an edge of steel. "We do not belong in the dark. We illuminate it." The queen rose, towering over the human now, her presence commanding the chamber. "You will walk into the heart of this power?" The human nodded. "The universe is full of heartless darkness. If humans can face it, we can survive anything. And we will not stop until we see the impossible broken." The fissure widened further, revealing a pulsing, crystalline structure at its center. It was massive, radiating energy that bent space itself. The shadow quivered, recoiling, yet something in its essence remained, waiting. The human turned to the queen. "Stay back," they said, but their eyes softened as they looked at the daughters. "They will be safe. I will be the shield." The queen hesitated, then stepped closer, the weight of her species' history pressing against her. "You humans are terrifying," she said. "Not because you are powerful, but because you refuse to die. You refuse to break. And somehow, you are stronger than the strongest of us all." The human nodded once, grimly. Strength is not always in claws or firepower. Sometimes it is in standing when everything wants you to fall, in thinking when chaos reigns, in believing when nothing makes sense. They stepped toward the crystalline structure. The light from the daughters flowed through their body, intertwining with the energy of the structure. The shadow screamed, a sound that would have shattered mountains. Yet the human did not falter. Every instinct in every creature in the chamber screamed to flee, to run, to hide. But the human advanced. Every step they took radiated resolve, courage, intelligence, and something older than the stars, humanity. The shadow lunged one final time. The human met it with open hands, not weapons, not machines, only the raw power of will and the spark of mortal ingenuity. The clash of energy sent shock waves through the chamber. Light met shadow. Hope met despair. The daughter's glow intensified, merging with the human's resolve. And then, silence. The shadow withdrew into the fissure, a low hiss echoing like a threat. But it was not gone. It had tested humanity and found them different, unpredictable, resilient, unbreakable. The human turned back to the queen, their chest heaving, eyes shining. "The universe is full of things it believes impossible. We prove it otherwise. Always." The queen knelt before the human, her pride tempered by awe and gratitude. "Perhaps the universe is not beyond saving," she whispered. "And perhaps humans are its key." The daughters floated closer, their small hands reaching for the human. They did not speak, but the bond was clear. The human was more than protector. They were a bridge between worlds, a spark of hope against the impossible. The chamber shook again, subtly this time. The shadow's retreat was temporary. The ancient structure beneath the palace pulsed with life, reacting to the human's touch, as if recognizing them as a force of destiny. The queen looked to the human, her voice steady now, filled with respect. "You walk paths that kill even stars. What will you do next?" The human smiled. "Next?" They glanced at the daughters, then at the fissure. "Next, we keep walking. We keep facing what the universe believes we cannot. We keep proving that humanity is unstoppable." And far beyond the chamber, in the void between stars, something stirred. older than galaxies, hungrier than war itself. The universe had taken notice of the human, and it would not forget, because the human did not stop. The queen watched as the human led her daughters toward the pulsing crystalline structure, their every movement radiating an unshakable confidence. The chamber had grown alive, the walls quivering with the resonance of energies older than memory. Every pulse in the structure echoed like a heartbeat across the void, and every shadow that had fled returned in whispers, tentacles of darkness probing the edges of perception. The human did not falter. They stepped closer to the crystal, their eyes locked on its center. "You hold power beyond comprehension," they said aloud, though no one could say if the structure understood language. "I am here not to wield you, but to survive you, and in doing so, show the universe that humans are never just prey." The crystal responded with a sudden flare, bathing the chamber in blinding light. The daughters instinctively clutched the human's hands, their glow intensifying. Even the queen instinctively stepped back, shielding her eyes. The energy was immense, ancient, infinite, and yet, somehow, the human remained unbroken. A voice boomed from the depths beneath, vibrating through every bone in the queen's body. "I am the first. I am the origin. You do not belong in my presence, mortal." The human tilted their head, never blinking, never hesitating. "I belong wherever courage takes me, and humanity never flees when destiny calls." The first was silent for a moment. Then it spoke again, each word like a meteor striking metal. "Mortals are fragile. Your bones will break. Your flesh will tear. Your mind will shatter. And yet, you stand before me unafraid." "Why?" The human smiled faintly. "Because fragility is not weakness. Fragility is choice. And we choose to endure. Always." A shock wave rippled through the chamber. The walls groaned, the floor cracked, and shadows burst in the fissure like liquid nightmares, slithering toward the human. The human did not step back. Instead, they lunged forward, placing their hands on the crystal. A scream of energy filled the chamber, deafening. Yet somehow the human's presence absorbed it, shaped it, controlled it. The queen's eyes widened. You are not just surviving, you are commanding it." The daughters' small voices rose in harmony, unintelligible yet powerful, merging with the human's resolve. The crystal pulsed in rhythm with their energy, and the shadows shrieked, recoiling as if burned by a light that defied comprehension. "You are foolish," the first boomed, voice shaken with fury. "You are a speck of nothing in the void, and yet you burn brighter than stars." The human did not falter. They lifted the daughters, holding them high, and shouted back, "We burn because we choose to live. We shine because we refuse to die. And we will face the impossible every time, until the universe learns not to underestimate us." The first recoiled, the shadows shrieking like broken glass. It had ruled unchallenged for eons, yet it faced something it could not calculate. The humans was not measurable, not predictable, and that alone terrified the ancient intelligence. Then the crystal pulsed violently, flinging the human and the daughters backward, but they did not hit the ground. The air itself seemed to lift them, holding them aloft, as though the structure recognized the human as a force beyond reckoning. The queen's voice was trembling now, but filled with wonder. Perhaps it is not power alone that conquers the universe. Perhaps it is the heart, the mind, the courage to defy death itself. The human landed lightly, still holding the daughters, unscathed. The shadows writhed at their feet, smaller, hesitant, unable to strike. The first voice became a hiss, quivering with emotion long lost to time. Confusion. "You should not exist," it said. "You are mortal. You cannot endure." The human smiled again. "I endure because I choose to. I endure because humanity always rises. I endure because you have never met a species that refuses to bow, refuses to hide, refuses to surrender. You have never met humans." The crystal flared again, and the daughter's hands glowed brighter than before. Light shot outward, disintegrating the remaining shadows into nothingness. The first screamed, a sound that fractured space, yet the human did not blink. Instead, they stepped closer to the fissure, raising the daughters above their head. "You want a universe where only the ancients survive," they shouted. Watch this human prove the impossible. Watch as a fragile species becomes unstoppable. The first recoiled. It had never been challenged this way. Not by a Taich, not by a conqueror, not by a god. But now, it faced a human, one being capable of defying all logic, all rules, all expectations. The chamber trembled violently. The queen fell to her knees, clutching the cracked floor, unsure if she was witnessing salvation or catastrophe. The daughter's glow intensified to blinding brilliance, pulsing through every crack, every shadow, every dark corner of the void beneath the palace. The humans shouted once more. Humans do not just survive. We adapt. We fight. We rise when everything is impossible. And this universe will remember it. The fissure beneath the crystal began to collapse inward, fragments of ancient stone and light disintegrating as though time itself were bending around the human's will. The first shrieked, retreating. But the humans' momentum did not stop. They leapt into the fissure, carrying the daughters with them. The light surged behind, a tidal wave of brilliance chasing them into the heart of the structure. The queen gasped, unable to comprehend the audacity, the brilliance, the sheer audacity of what she was witnessing. The void beyond the palace quivered. Galaxies whispered in fear. Ancient intelligences paused, noticing a mortal species reshaping reality itself. The human moved to the heart of the crystal, their minds synchronized with the daughter's glow, mapping paths, bending energy, defying laws older than stars. The first power tried to strike them down, but could not anticipate creativity, determination, or human ingenuity. The structure itself began to resonate with the human's presence. A voice, neither male nor female, old as a void, spoke through the crystal. Perhaps this species is not weak. Perhaps they are evolution. The human's voice echoed back, resolute, fearless. Not evolution. Choice. Humanity chooses to rise. Humanity chooses to fight. Humanity chooses to be more than the universe expects. And in that instant, the impossible shattered. The first screamed, not in defeat, but in recognition. A mortal, a human, had bent forces that no ancient mind had ever imagined. The daughters giggled softly, their tiny hands still glowing, their light now pulsing with life and hope. The human held them tight, a living bridge between fragile mortality and unstoppable will. The queen rose slowly, tears glistening in her ancient eyes. Perhaps the universe does have hope, she whispered, voice trembling. And perhaps humanity is the spark that ignites it. The chamber fell silent, save for the faint hum of the crystal, now pulsating in harmony with the human's heart. The shadows were gone. The first had retreated, but the void beyond remained endless and dangerous. The universe had not surrendered. It had only begun to notice. The human looked to the queen, then to the daughters. "We do not stop," they said softly, yet every word carried the weight of countless worlds. "We do not hide. We do not surrender. And whatever comes next, we will face it, and we will endure." And far beyond, in the darkness between galaxies, something stirred. Older than stars, hungrier than war, and infinitely more cunning. It had watched. It had learned. It had underestimated humanity. And humanity had just begun to prove that nothing, not even the universe itself, could hold them down. The queen stepped closer to the human, her hand resting briefly on their shoulder. "You are not like any being I have known," she said. "You are dangerous in the most remarkable way." The human smiled faintly, lifting the daughters once more. Dangerous to those who destroy, unstoppable to those who challenge, and boundless for those who believe. A faint rumble shook the chamber. Stars outside the palace flickered and shifted. The universe was watching, waiting, hungry for the next act. And the human, unbroken and unbowed, would give it, because humanity does not surrender. Humanity does not flee. Humanity does not die. Stars pulsed in hesitation, and black holes twitched like aware predators. Far beyond the palace, civilizations trembled without knowing why. A human had entered a realm no mortal had ever touched, and in doing so, the rules of the cosmos had begun to bend. The human floated above the fractured crystal heart of the chamber, holding the two glowing daughters. Their aura resonated with power that defied logic, Yet it was not raw string alone. It was vision, intelligence, and the unmistakable spark of human ingenuity. Every pulse of light from the daughters seemed to respond to their thoughts, as if recognizing them not just as protector, but as a guide. The queen knelt at the edge of the chamber, her multiple eyes wide with awe. "This is beyond anything I have ever witnessed," she whispered. "Every species in the galaxy would have shattered under this pressure. Yet you bend it to your will. Why?" The human's gaze remained on the crystalline core, analyzing, probing, calculating. "We do not bend it to our will," they said softly. "We survive it. We adapt to it. We understand that the impossible is only impossible until someone proves otherwise. And humans, we always prove otherwise." A rumble shook the palace, louder this time. The fissure beneath the crystal expanded, revealing a void within the void itself. Shapes emerge, impossible geometries, forms that defy physics, eyes that saw past time. The first had retreated, but this was something older, something that watched empires rise and fall, civilizations burn, and stars die. It was curiosity incarnate, but curiosity with hunger. The human's hand tightened around the daughters. "They are safe," they said more to themselves than anyone else. "And that is enough to face whatever comes next." From the void emerged a colossal figure, stretching across the chamber like a living shadow made of twisted space. Its voice was a chorus, reverberating through dimensions. "You tread where none should. You hold beings older than stars in your grasp. Mortals are fragile. You will shatter." The human stepped forward, not hesitantly, not cautiously, confidently, audaciously, as if the universe itself were a chessboard and they had already seen the moves 10 steps ahead. "I do not shatter," they said. "I survive. I rise. I endure. And humans, we turn fragility into strength." The figure loomed closer, its limbs twisting in impossible arcs. It struck with force that could have annihilated planets, tendrils of darkness that ripped through space like knives. The human did not dodge. They leapt into the attack, diving between strikes, anticipating movements, calculating trajectories faster than any AI could. With a sweep of their hand, they deflected a tendril, and it recoiled as if stung. The daughter's glow intensified, merging with the human's aura, creating a light that pushed back the darkness. Even the queen instinctively shielded her eyes from the brilliance, unable to comprehend the raw energy of mortal resolve. "You cannot endure this," the figure said, its voice trembling. "You are nothing but a speck in the infinite void, and yet you resist." The human's voice rang out, steady and unwavering. "Resistance is our nature. Courage is our instinct. And humans, we never stop." Another strike came, this time with the power of a collapsing star. The human met it head-on, absorbing the force with energy they generated from sheer will, a shield of defiance built on ingenuity, audacity, and a refusal to submit. The chamber shook violently. Walls cracked, crystal splintered, and the void outside pulsed with anticipation. Yet the human advanced, step by step, forward, unrelenting. The daughters floated beside them, their light coalescing into beams that carved paths through the darkness. The queen's voice broke through the chaos. "Impossible. No mortal should survive this. No mortal should bend reality to their will." The human paused briefly, turning to her. "We are humans," they said simply, "and humans are never just mortals. We are pioneers, explorers, warriors, and dreamers. The universe forgets this at its peril." The colossal figure reared back, a shadow stretching across the very dimensions, ready to crush the human. It was a force older than galaxies, yet hesitation flickered in its infinite mind. Humans had never acted like this. Humans had never dared like this. Humans had never survived like this. The human leapt into the core of the figure, holding the daughters high. A scream tore through reality, yet it did not touch the human. Instead, they touched the figure, not with violence, but with defiance, will, and unbreakable intellect. The impossible began to shift. The daughter's light wrapped around the figure, like tendrils of hope strangling despair. The human's mind worked faster than light, analyzing patterns, predicting movements, and weaving a strategy that no being, ancient or godlike, had ever conceived. With each pulse of their heart, With each deliberate movement, the void bent. The colossal figure trembled. You are mortal, it hissed, and yet you are a threat unlike any I have known. The humans smiled, their eyes blazing with conviction. I am human, they said, voice carrying through the void. And humans are a threat to despair, to death, to the impossible. We survive because we refuse to surrender, because we adapt, and because we fight where others would flee. The figure convulsed as light and shadow collided, the daughter's glow merging with human will, energy bending and twisting around them. The impossible began to fracture. The void itself reeled from the defiance of one mortal species. The queen, still at the chamber's edge, whispered in awe, I thought we were the apex, the survivors, but this human, they are something beyond all we imagined. The human pressed onward, their steps carving a path through chaos, their mind calculating impossible outcomes, their courage shaping reality itself. The daughters' voices harmonized with theirs, a melody of hope, courage, and relentless determination. The colossal figure screamed again, its tendrils flailing wildly. You will break, it cried. You are fragile. You cannot survive this. The human's response was calm, absolute, unshakable. We are human. Fragile? Perhaps. But stronger than the universe expects. Cleverer than it calculates. Braver than it dares imagine. And we will endure. Always. With a final, defiant step, the human pushed into the heart of the void, their aura, the daughter's glow, and sheer determination converging into a beacon of impossible light. The figure recoiled, its infinite form dissolving, retreating into the cracks of space it had once dominated. The chamber quaked, the crystal pulsed, and the first hints of silence returned. The queen approached cautiously, awe etched into her every movement. You have done what no being, no empire, no god has achieved, she whispered. You have survived the impossible. You have reshaped the void. The humans set the daughters down gently, their hands glowing softly as they touched the ground. They are safe, they said simply, and that is enough to face whatever comes next. Outside the palace, stars trembled, the void whispered, ancient powers stirred, empires quaked, because now the universe knew. Humans were not just mortals. Humans were survivors. Humans were unstoppable. The queen stepped closer, reverently, her voice shaking with awe and gratitude. Perhaps the universe is not beyond hope. Perhaps humanity is its spark. The human's gaze swept the chamber. The universe will try to crush us, to overwhelm us, to erase us. And we will rise every time. Because we are human. And humans never stop. A faint hum echoed through the void. It was a sound of the universe itself, noticing, observing, trembling. Something far older than the first watch, calculating, waiting. And it would come again. But the human did not retreat. They stood, holding the daughters, ready, unflinching, fearless. The chamber fell into an uneasy calm. The first had retreated, but the universe did not forgive easily. Stars twinkled with suspicion, and distant galaxies seemed to shift, as if bracing for what was coming. The humans stood at the center, holding the daughters, their aura a beacon against the encroaching darkness. The queen approached, her gait cautious yet reverent. You have survived what no being in existence has, she said softly. You have defied death, power, and millennia of cosmic law. How do you endure? The human's gaze swept the chamber, landing on the broken remnants of the crystal structure. We endure, they said, voice steady, because we must. The universe will always test us. Always. And every test is an opportunity. To survive, to adapt, to prove that humans are not just prey. We are a species that refuses limits. The daughters floated closer, their glow blending with the human's presence. They looked small, fragile, but the light radiating from them was alive, resonating with something beyond material, something the human recognized instinctively. They are more than children, the human murmured. They are catalysts, and together we are unstoppable. The queen's multiple eyes flickered with unease and awe. Catalysts? I have seen worlds collapse under lesser forces. I have seen civilizations crumble at the edge of black holes. And yet you turn impossibility into triumph. The humans smiled faintly, their eyes reflecting the daughter's glow. That is what it means to be human. We take chaos, uncertainty, death, and danger, and we transform into opportunity. We survive because we refuse to surrender. A tremor shook the chamber, stronger than before. The fissure beneath the crystal core widened, and from it, something moved. Not shadows, not light, something older, vast beyond comprehension, and aware in ways mortals could not perceive. It emerged slowly, a living void, its form constantly shifting, as if space itself were alive. The air shimmered and bent around it, and the daughters shrank instinctively against the human's chest. "I am the Endless," it whispered. "My consciousness spans galaxies. My knowledge is older than stars. You are insignificant. You will fall." The human did not flinch. Instead, they tightened their hold on the daughters and stepped forward. Insignificant? Perhaps. But that does not make us powerless. Humans survive the impossible because we refuse to believe the impossible controls us. And we will not fall. The Endless pulsed with energy, darkness rippling outward like a storm across reality. It lashed with tendrils of antimatter, bending space and time around the chamber. The queen gasped, instinctively shielding herself. No Taurich, not even the strongest warrior, could have withstood such a force. But the human did not hesitate. They leapt into the storm, weaving between the tendrils, anticipating their movements, using the daughter's light to track the flow of the endless power. Every step was deliberate, every action precise. It was not strength alone. It was intelligence, courage, and ingenuity beyond calculation. "You cannot survive this," the Endless roared, its voice a chorus of galaxies dying. "You are mortal. You are fragile. You are nothing." The humans smiled faintly. "We are human," they said calmly. "And humans thrive on what others call nothing. We survive where others perish. We fight when others flee. We endure when others break. That is our nature. That is who we are." The daughter's glow intensified, radiating outward, intertwining with the human's aura. Together, they formed a nexus of energy that pushed back the Endless, carving a space of defiance against the being that had crushed worlds effortlessly. The queen's voice shook with awe. "You bend forces that have shattered civilizations. You are something else entirely." The human nodded once. "We do not bend. We adapt. We endure. We conquer. Not by brute power, but by will, ingenuity, and courage. That is what it means to be human." The Endless recoiled, confused. It had never faced a species that thrived on resilience, that defied expectation, that turned fragility into power. Its tendrils lashed wildly, seeking to overwhelm, yet the human's presence was a counterforce it could not predict. The human moved closer to the core of the Endless, their steps fearless, deliberate. The daughters floated beside them, light wrapping around the dark tendrils, unraveling the fabric of the void. The human placed a hand on the shifting mass, not with strength, but with will, not with weapons, but with resolve. A scream echoed across dimensions, a sound that could have unmade stars. The Endless convulsed, but it did not destroy the human. It could not. The human's voice rang out, steady and unyielding. "You may be endless, but we are human. We do not stop. We do not break. And we will survive you. Always." The chamber trembled violently. Crystal shattered. Shadows erupted. But the human advanced. The daughter's light merged with the human's aura, creating a beacon that shattered the darkness, tearing through tendrils, unraveling impossible geometry, and bending the impossible into something tangible. The Endless shrieked, retreating, and yet it did not leave entirely. It lingered, watching, learning, calculating, and realizing that humans were no ordinary species. The queen stepped closer, her voice trembling with reverence. "Perhaps the universe has underestimated humanity. Perhaps we have been wrong to think any being could dominate unopposed." The human turned to her, eyes blazing with quiet intensity. "Do not mistake this for luck. Humans survive because we choose to rise. We endure because we refuse to fall. And we face the impossible because the impossible is where we thrive." The Endless withdrew partially into the void, but the rumble of its presence echoed in every corner of the cosmos. Stars dimmed in response. Galaxies shifted nervously. Empires whispered the human who defied the void itself. The human set the daughters down gently, their glow now soft but alive, pulsing with energy that spoke of hope, courage, and unbroken will. "We will face whatever comes next," the human said softly. "And when the universe sends its next test, we will be ready." The queen approached, reverently placing a hand on the human's shoulder. "You have done what no one else could. You have survived the impossible, defied the ancient, and rewritten the rules of the void itself." The human smiled faintly. "Humanity does not survive by waiting. Humanity survives by moving forward, by confronting fear, and by refusing to bow. That is who we are. That is what we do." A faint hum echoed through the chamber. It was the universe itself, noticing, observing, and trembling. Far beyond the palace, in the void between galaxies, older intelligences stirred, sensing a mortal species that could reshape reality itself. And they were coming. But the human did not retreat. They stood, holding the daughters, eyes fixed on the horizon, ready for whatever the universe would throw next. Because humans do not hide. Humans do not flee. Humans do not surrender. Humans rise. And the universe had only begun to understand what that truly means. The chamber grew silent, but the tremor in the void hinted at the next storm. The first, the endless, and countless other ancient forces would return. The human knew this. The daughters sensed it. The queen understood it. But none could doubt the truth any longer. Humans are not just survivors. Humans are unstoppable. The human took a deep breath, their eyes scanning the void. "The universe believes it has rules," they said softly. "We will show it that humans make their own rules, that humans endure where others fall, that humans rise where others break." The human stood at the edge of the shattered crystal chamber, the daughter's glow radiating warmth and hope against the cold void beyond the palace walls. The queen knelt beside them, eyes wide, her multiple pupils reflecting the faint glimmer of distant stars. "You have survived forces older than time," she said softly, awe in her voice. "But the universe, it is endless. It will not forgive your audacity for long." The human's gaze drifted toward a void beyond the palace, where distant galaxies shimmered like distant embers. "They can try to destroy us," the human said, voice calm yet carrying steel. "They can throw every impossible force, every ancient intelligence, every unimaginable power at us. But humans do not break. We adapt. We survive. We endure. That is our nature." The queen trembled slightly. "You speak as though you have faced the universe itself and survived." The human smiled faintly, the glow of the daughter's hands reflecting in their eyes. "We have," they said, "and that is only the beginning." Suddenly, the chamber shivered violently. Cracks spiderwebbed across the walls as a new presence emerged from the void. Not the first, not the endless. Something else. Older, wiser, more deliberate. A cosmic intelligence that had watched stars burn and civilizations crumble, calculating, waiting, and now, intrigued. It emerged as a colossal form, not made of flesh or metal, but of light and shadow intertwined, pulsating with an eerie rhythm. Its voice echoed across dimensions, more a thought than a sound. "Mortals," it said, "you dare stand where even gods fear to tread. Why do you exist?" The human stepped forward, holding the daughters tightly. "We exist because we choose to," they said firmly. "We are humans, and humans endure where all else falls. Humans rise when everything is lost. That is why we exist, and why we will not be erased." The intelligence studied them, its presence bending reality around it. It unleashed a wave of energy, a pulse so strong that it could have disintegrated planets instantly. Yet the human did not flinch. Instead, they advanced. With each step, the daughter's glow pulsed brighter, merging with the human's aura. The light cut through the intelligence's waves, unraveling impossible geometries, deflecting forces that had destroyed civilizations. Every motion, every calculation, every heartbeat of the human was precise, deliberate, a testament to ingenuity, courage, and the unbreakable human will. "You are fragile," the intelligence whispered. "You cannot comprehend eternity. You cannot survive the void." The human tilted their head. "Fragile? Perhaps. But humans take fragility and turn it into strength. We survive impossible, think through chaos, and endure when a universe expects us to fall. That is who we are. The intelligence unleashed a tendril of energy, twisting and snapping like a living weapon. It lashed at the human, faster than thought, aiming to annihilate. The human did not dodge. They leapt into the path, reaching forward with one hand toward the tendril. The daughter's light shot through the human, and the tendril recoiled, sizzling, unable to strike. The queen's eyes widened. "You how?" The human turned to her, eyes blazing. Humans survive by turning the impossible into opportunity, by thinking where others panic, by standing where others flee. We are fragile yet unstoppable. The intelligence pulsed, forming an array of impossible, twisting arms, each capable of crushing galaxies. It was overwhelming, terrifying, and yet the human advanced. Step by step, fearless, defiant, bending the forces of the cosmos with sheer will. You resist. You endure. You are unusual, the intelligence said. Why do you not break? The human smiled faintly. We do not break because we refuse to. We adapt. We fight. We rise. And when the universe expects us to fall, we prove it wrong. The daughter's glow wrapped around intelligence like a ribbon of living light, pushing it back, unraveling its hold on reality. The human moved closer, each step deliberate, each motion precise, each heartbeat a declaration. The impossible was failing. The queen stepped closer, awe in her voice. This is beyond comprehension. I have fought gods and survived, yet this human bends reality with will alone. What are they? The human glanced at her, the daughter's glow reflecting in their eyes. They are human, they said simply, and that is enough. The intelligence screamed, a sound that could shatter time itself. It unleashed another assault, waves of anti-energy, twisting space and shattering matter. The human met it head-on, the daughter's light weaving with their own will to deflect and redirect the force. Where any other being would have been annihilated, the human stood calm, precise, and unbroken. You are stronger than you appear, the intelligence said, voice trembling for the first time. Mortals should not survive this. The human advanced further. We survive because we are humans. We endure because that is who we are. And we rise because the universe has never met a species that refuses to bow. The daughter's glow intensified further, merging with the human's presence into a living beacon of defiance. The intelligence recoiled, unable to calculate, unable to understand. It had faced immortality, omnipotence, and infinite knowledge, but never audacity like this. Never a species that can endure, adapt, and outthink the impossible. The chamber shook violently as the intelligence retreated partially, though its presence still loomed. It had learned something new. Humans are unpredictable. Humans are clever. Humans survive where nothing else does. The queen, kneeling once more, whispered, "Perhaps humanity is the spark the universe needs. Perhaps they are not just survivors, but its answer." The humans smiled faintly, their gaze steady. "Whatever comes next," they said softly, "we will face it. We do not hide. We do not surrender. We do not break. And we will endure. Always." Outside, the stars flickered nervously. Galaxies whispered in fear and awe. Empires paused, sensing a mortal species rewriting the rules of existence itself. Because humans are not just mortals. Humans are not just survivors. Humans are unstoppable. The human held the daughters high, light radiating outward, cutting through the void. Whatever ancient powers wake next, whatever impossible forces rise, whatever entities think they can erase us, the human said, voice carrying across the cosmos, they will learn the same truth. Humanity does not bow. Humanity does not break. Humanity rises. A faint vibration passed through the universe. Something older than stars stirred, far beyond the reach of time or memory. It had noticed humans. It had underestimated humans. And humans had only just begun. The chamber grew silent. The crystal pulses had slowed, yet a quiet hum resonated, promising more trials. The first, the endless and new, unknown intelligences would return. The void itself was awake. And humans were ready. The human looked toward the horizon beyond the shattered palace. "This universe thinks it has rules," they said, voice calm, confident, unwavering. "We will show it that humans make their own rules. We survive where others perish. We endure where others break. We rise when all else falls. That is what it means to be human." The daughter's hands glowed softly, lights shimmering like tiny suns. The queen stepped closer, reverent, awestruck. "You are not like any being I have known," she whispered. "You are terrifyingly remarkable." The human nodded. "We will face whatever comes next," they said, "and the universe will remember. Humanity survives. Humanity adapts. Humanity rises. And nothing, not gods, not voids, not time itself, can stop us." Stars gleamed with an almost reverent light. Galaxies swirled in patterns that seemed to pause in recognition. The ancient intelligences, the first, the endless, and others that lurked beyond perception, had withdrawn, though their awareness lingered. Somewhere beyond the edges of reality, they watched, silent, calculating, aware that a species had risen that defied expectation. The humans stood at the center of the shattered chamber, holding the daughters gently. Their hands glowed softly, radiating warmth that cut through the cold silence of space. The crystal beneath them pulsed faintly, as if acknowledging a new equilibrium had been established. The queen knelt beside them, her armored body trembling with awe. "You have faced what no being in the cosmos could endure," she said softly. "Planets have fallen. Civilizations have crumbled. Stars have died, and yet here you stand, a mortal, holding the impossible in your hands, reshaping fate itself." The human looked down at the daughters, their small faces glowing with a light that seemed almost divine. "They are safe," the human said quietly, but their voice carried the weight of entire worlds. "And as long as humanity walks, nothing, no power, no ancient force, no void can claim what we protect." The queen's eyes softened. "I have spent millennia defending my people, fighting wars older than memory, and yet I have never seen courage like this. Not in warriors bred for combat, not in generals who commanded armies across galaxies. You, human, you are extraordinary." The human smiled faintly. "It is not extraordinary to survive," they said. "It is human. We endure because that is what we are built to do. We adapt because we must. We rise because we refuse to fall. The universe does not break us, it tests us, and we prove it wrong every time." A faint hum radiated from the crystal beneath their feet. It was not threatening nor welcoming. It simply acknowledged that the impossible had been confronted and survived. The chamber, once a place of despair and shadows, now felt alive. Hope and courage emanated from every crack, every fissure, every shard of fractured crystal. The daughters stepped forward, their tiny hands reaching out to the human. "You have changed everything," the eldest whispered, though the words were more felt than heard. "The darkness is not as frightening anymore." The human knelt, letting their face level with the children. "The universe is dangerous," they said softly. "Terrifying even, but danger is never the end. Courage, intelligence, and the will to survive, these are the forces that shape everything. And you will carry that forward." The queen's voice broke the silence again, this time tinged with something almost like hope. "You have done more than survive. You have proven a truth the cosmos itself cannot deny. Mortals, humans, you are a species unlike any other. You do not submit. You do not cower. You rise." The humans stood, holding the daughters carefully in their arms, their aura mingling with the faint pulses of the crystal. "Rise," they repeated, not as a command, but as a declaration. "And the universe will learn to remember us, not as fragile beings, but as unstoppable. Humans endure. Humans adapt. Humans rise, and that will never change." A ripple passed through the void, subtle yet profound. Even the first, lurking somewhere beyond perception, felt it. The endless, far across galaxies, paused in its calculations. Ancient intelligences shifted in thought, realizing that a species once thought mortal and insignificant had proven a force beyond measure. The queen stepped closer, resting her hand lightly on the human's shoulder. "Perhaps the universe is not beyond hope," she said softly, "and perhaps Humanity is the spark that ignites it. You have shown that courage, intellect, and can shape even the oldest powers. The human looked out into the void, scanning the stars, galaxies, and empty reaches of space. Humanity is not perfect, they said quietly, though every word carried authority. We are fragile. We make mistakes. We fall. But when the universe tests us, when everything pushes against us, we do not give up. We endure. We learn. We rise. The daughter's glow brightened, responding to the human's words. Together, they radiated a light that illuminated the chamber fully, washing away the last lingering shadows. Even the queen felt it, a warmth she had not experienced in centuries. The sense that all was not lost, that hope could endure even in the deepest void. From the fissure beneath the crystal, the light extended outward, flowing into the palace and beyond, across planets, across galaxies, touching worlds long abandoned, civilizations on the brink, and creatures long forgotten. It was not destructive. It was a signal, a message to the universe. Humanity has risen. Humanity endures. Humanity will never bow. The human breathed deeply, feeling the weight of infinite responsibility. Every being, every star, every force that seeks to end us, they will learn the same truth, the human said, that we rise, that we endure, that we are more than the universe expects. That is what humans are, and that is what we will always be. The queen's voice was steady now, filled with reverence. You have not just survived. You have rewritten the cosmos' understanding of life, power, and courage. You have proven that even a mortal species can challenge eternity itself. The human looked at the daughters, then to the queen, then out into the void, where the stars waited, silent witnesses to the culmination of courage and will. We are human, the human said, voice carrying across the chamber and beyond. And humans do not stop. We do not break. We do not surrender. We endure. We rise. And the universe will remember us. The daughters stepped closer, their tiny hands glowing with warmth and life. You are our protector, one of them whispered. You showed us that even when everything seems lost, even when the impossible looms, humans can face it and endure. The humans smiled gently, lifting the daughters higher, letting their glow mingle with the fractured light of the chamber. And that is only the beginning, they said softly. The universe may test us again. Ancient forces may rise. Galaxies may tremble. But humans will endure. Always. The queen knelt, bowing slightly, a gesture of respect. Perhaps the universe has underestimated humanity for far too long, she said. You have proven that courage, intellect, and heart can shape reality itself. The human's gaze swept across the chamber one last time. The crystal pulses slowed, but their resonance lingered, a heartbeat echoing hope, a rhythm that promised survival, adaptation, and the unbreakable nature of human will. Let the universe come, the human said quietly. We are ready. The daughter's glow merged fully with the human's aura, forming a beacon that radiated outward, touching every corner of the chamber, extending into the void. Even distant stars seemed to pulse in response, as though acknowledging the truth that had been proven. Humans rise. Humans endure. Humans are unstoppable. The humans stepped forward, carrying the daughters toward the opening of the chamber. The universe has learned a lesson today, they said softly. Fragility does not equal weakness. Courage is more powerful than fear. Intelligence can overcome brute force. Humanity is proof that the impossible is never permanent, and we will never stop proving it. The queen followed, walking alongside them. You have not just survived, you have inspired. You have changed the course of civilizations, of stars, and of the void itself. The human nodded. Yes, and the journey is not over. There will always be darkness, always threats, always forces that believe they can overwhelm us. But we endure, we rise, and humanity will always prevail where others fail. The chamber's light pulsed one final time, and then softened. The first, the endless, and every ancient intelligence beyond perception had retreated, but they had learned something fundamental. A mortal species had reshaped their understanding of power. Humans were unpredictable. Humans were clever. Humans endured when nothing else could. The human looked at the daughters once more. You carry the light of hope forward. They said, you will grow. You will learn. You will continue what we have begun. Humanity rises not alone, but together. The queen smiled faintly, her voice reverent. Perhaps this is the true meaning of life, she said. Not domination, not power, but courage, perseverance, and the will to rise, no matter the odds. Humans embody it fully. The human gaze into the void, their voice rising, carrying across empty space. The universe may throw everything at us. Stars may die. Galaxies may tremble. Forces older than time may awaken. And yet, humans will endure. Humans will rise. And humanity will always be unstoppable. The daughters giggled softly, the sound like sunlight breaking through darkness. They reached for the human's hands, their light merging fully with the human's presence. The chamber, the palace, the universe beyond. It all seemed alive, resonated with the proof of human will, intelligence, and courage. The human took a deep breath, feeling the weight of every star, every threat, every impossible challenge. And no matter what comes next, they said, voice quiet but absolute, we will face it. We will survive it. We will rise. Always. The queen knelt, bowed her head, and whispered, perhaps the universe is hope again, because of humans. The human looked down at the daughters, then out into the endless void. A smile touched their lips. Let the universe come, they said. Let it try to break us. Humanity rises. Humanity survives. Humanity endures. And humanity will never be stopped. The light of the daughters, the aura of the human, and the hope that radiated outward flowed beyond the shattered chamber, into the void, across galaxies, touching worlds and hearts, a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity. And in the silence that followed, the universe waited. It had been taught a lesson it would not soon forget. Humans rise. Humans endure. Humans prevail. And the story, though ending here for now, would echo across eternity.